Now, there's a chapter in the book I'm dying to ask you about, the vibes chapter, and
Hmm.
talking about chakras and how to use that concept in your storytelling. So, can you please explain a little bit about vibes, the chakra element, and how you apply it to storytelling?
Yes, this is a new chapter for the 25th anniversary edition. It's kind of the meat of what makes it new. And this is the result of several years of traveling around and sort of shyly, tentatively bringing out this side of me, which is I grew up in the Midwest, in the St. Louis area on a farm, but I came out to California in 1971 and I ate it up. I mean, I landed in the middle of the hippie era, and that was just great for me. And I absorbed a lot of ideas. And that was one of them, that we live in a universe of vibrations. And we talked about it. You know, we had the Beach Boys song, Good Vibrations, and we'd say, did you feel the vibes in that room last night? And oh my God, I got such a bad vibe from that guy at the meeting. And, we had this idea that everything we touch and feel and see and hear is vibration. You can hear my voice right now because I'm vibrating a column of air in my throat in this room that's making this element in the speaker go, and the mic go back and forth, and so on, transmitted down to the vibes in your ear. So everything's vibration. And this also came from, I went on a course of study of spiritual things and the occult and, mysterious mystery religions and all that sort of stuff in my 20s. And I studied the chakra system, which is this idea from India, basically.
It's
From
thousands of years old. It's
it's,
thousands of
it's
years
a
old.
very, very old thing that even, is probably well understood before anybody discovered how to write. But the idea is that up and down your spine, you have different spiritual centers, and they're pictured as lotus blossoms that are either, this is, in imaginary form, but imagined as flower blossoms that are either open or closed. And as you develop spiritually, you open higher and higher centers until, theoretically, everything is open, and then you're Buddha. But most people only experience a couple of those things being sort of turned on or open at any particular time. But how this all came together was that when I worked for the studios, I went up a ladder and got away from the doggy door part of my career, where I actually was now going to the meetings. This was at Fox on my second term at Fox. I was part of the team that decides on Monday morning, we talk about the scripts we read over the weekend, and we argue and defend or attack everybody's projects. And if three people say, I think it was good, it gets bought and it gets made. So those are very, very important meetings. And I noticed most other people were commenting on the scripts in a kind of a numerical way, by saying, well, we think it hits this demographic and it's probably going to hit 30% of the male audience. And, they had it sort of rigged almost mathematically. And I didn't do anything but point to different parts of my body. I said it choked me up and it made my heart race. Or it tightened me up in the guts, and then I just lifted the top of my head off in the last act. So I realized, I put it together, I'm pointing to the chakras. And I began thinking about these as potential targets for your emotional effects, so that because I think everything is or should be intentional in this business. You should lay down an intention, and maybe the audience interprets in their own way and they go off your intention, but you really need to be thoughtful and conscious and intentional. And so why not study the different areas of the body and think, I want this to reach out from the page, from the screen, and hit them right in the gut. And I want them to be thinking about their guts right now. Or I want them to feel protective of their heart at this moment, or just feel a stab when somebody betrays someone on the screen. Or there's wonderful moments in movies like in The King's Speech, where he struggles to speak and he's got all the heart in the world and he loves his people, but he can't get it out through the throat chakra. And eventually he does make the breakthrough. And it's such a big moment that, everybody loves that kind of scene where somebody speaks their truth and is able to hook up one or more. And that was another aspect of it, is that I realized the good scripts that I was describing on Monday morning were hitting at least two of these centers and creating a kind of a circuit between them. So the heart and the throat were connected. Or people say about Hitler, he was very open in the power chakra down in the guts. He was closed tight in the heart chakra, had no compassion for other people, but he was very open and powerful in the throat. So he hooked up the power from his guts and used it as a microphone through his throat and was able to, move the nation. So these connections of one or more centers are, I think, necessary to, whether you're aware of it or not, this is what you're doing, is you're triggering reactions in different places in the body. And it's good.
So is there any character in movie history that connected more than four or more of those chakras, or God forbid, all of the chakras were opened up in the course of that story, or hit all of those energy points?
Yeah, I think so. I think, first of all, in religious areas, you can
Buddha,
say,
Jesus, yeah.
Buddha, Jesus, et cetera, have hit most of those marks. But it comes up in films every now and then. There was one little film that I kind of cherish called Phenomenon with.
I love it. Yeah, with John Travolta. Yeah, I love that movie.
It's an absolutely ordinary guy, kind of down to earth, even a little selfish and unaware. And then something happened to him. I forget what the trigger was.
It was it's a light from the sky came and hit him and gave him these phenomenal. If I remember, it was his mind. He just became insanely smart, but he also had powers, some sort of telekinesis of some sort.
He was like an angel. There was another film he did called Michael, I think.
Yeah.
Actually, it wasn't an angel, but he had these kind of unusual powers. And I remember a couple of things, although my memory is very dim about most of it. A couple of things stuck with me. And one was that moment when he received this information, and it was done so simply and elegantly, and yet it touched those chakras, which was they simply panned up to a tree, and you saw maybe a little slow motion, the leaves of the tree were rattling and
he could
reflecting,
feel it.
like my hands are doing now, a little bit of light, dark. And that is intensely stimulating to the eye, the whole chain of to the brain from the eye. But it just said, without anybody saying anything, God is present in this scene, and or some otherworldly force, because they didn't name it, and it transformed him. And then he was operating as a fully realized human being, and all those things were open and functioning for him.
You're absolutely right. Yeah, his character became almost, godlike or guru-like on Earth. He was essentially walking, the Christ consciousness path, the Buddha consciousness path. Yes. I haven't seen that movie since it came out. I gotta go back and revisit that movie, because I remember loving. That was the same year of Good Will Hunting, and that whole, I think, Titanic '97, if I remember correctly. It was a great film.